thrilled that so many of you turned out, and they want to bend your ear. They want to meet everybody. So we hope that you have a chance to stay a little bit later, enjoy some snacks, some beverages in my home brew, which is back there. It's a very light.
She's a beer meister, folks.
Yes. So, what we decided to do then is time everybody, because I know we have a lot of people to speak. We're going to go Mayoral, or how do you get this?
Controller.
Pardon me?
Mayoral,
controller, and then the council, candidates, and in each category alphabetical. So I'm not doing Democrat over Republican or anything like that. Alec, are you going to time?
I'm here.
You're timing, right?
I'll time it as you
Now,
said.
this may seem kind of arbitrary. We'll give the mayoral candidates each 4 minutes. If you go over, that's a little bit, that's okay. Everyone else 3. I know it sounds like a short time. If you want to end quicker so you can take more questions, that would be fine. And of course, afterwards, please come around, shake hands, and answer questions at that time. Okay? So, Tony George.
Good evening.
Pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Now, the 4 minutes includes question and answers, or?
No.
Well, let's.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
I think
Maybe.
Don't start yet, then.
Yeah, I know. I just started off. I started.
Frank read a calculator.
Okay, so the 4 minutes does include questions.
Yeah.
Okay, pardon me.
Okay. My name is Tony George. I'm a lifelong resident of the city. Graduated from Myers High School, King's College, and the Pennsylvania State Police Academy. I worked for the Wilkes-Barre City Police for 27 years. I went through the ranks from patrolman, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, deputy chief, and chief. Held every rank, and my last 4 years was as chief of police. During that time as chief of police, we had the DRA program. We had the cops on bikes. In fact, I started that under Mayor Elmy with the bikes. I ran the crime prevention program. We set up a program with the DEA and the Attorney General's office to combat drugs. And we had saturation patrols, cop hot spots, and we used grant money for all this, either OCD or the federal grant money, and it worked. And that money's still available, but I guess it's focused through other things in the city. I plan to bring all that back because the city's in a crisis right now, and we have to do something to turn the neighborhoods around. He did a great job downtown, and I have to commend him on that. But we have to go into the neighborhoods now, because you're not going to have any economic development in the city if people are afraid to come out of their houses, if businesses are afraid to come back to the city. What we have to do is clean up the city, and that includes street cleaning, fix the curbs, put the signs back on, paint the lights on the street. There's a lot of infrastructure that has to be done, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to take money. And I plan on doing this through grants, the gaming grants. And I'll stop now, so in case you have questions, I could answer them.
I have a question.
Sure.
Tony, what are we going to do about our absentee landlords that are devaluing our homes in our city? Say your name. Linda Urban, Wilkes-Barre.
That's a great question. There's laws on the books to combat that. What the problem is today is we're not enforcing those. And there's extradition laws. If somebody owns a property in New Jersey, we could extradite them here and have them pay the fines and have them clean up their properties. And we're not doing any of that. We have to start enforcing the laws that we already have. We don't need to make new laws. We just have to enforce the laws we already have.
But how are you going to do that, Mr. George? Because we have a zoning committee, and we've tried to go to them and get some things done, and it really has not worked.
Oh, I went, before I was on council, I went to a lot of zoning complaining about things. And they're one track. What you have to do is keep complaining, and you have to have somebody who cares, who wants to change things. Right now, everybody's at ease with the status quo, and we have to change that. I mean, there's no longer going to be a status quo. Things have to change.
I have a question. You talk about the neighborhoods, and you talk that the downtown has been serviced well, but the neighborhoods have not. Do you consider that the downtown residents associated with the downtown is a neighborhood as well?
Well, when I say downtown, I mean public square.
Okay.
I mean, this is a resident. We had the horse down here. You guys don't remember 12, 13 years ago, but the horse came up and down South Franklin Street, South Main Street because of the hookers we had, and it chased them away. The horses, people make fun of them, but when people saw the horse coming, you can't help but notice it, and people left. And that's what we want to do. We want to chase them out of town. You're never going to stop the drug dealing or the crime, but we can move it somewhere else out of town, and that's what I intend on doing.
24 seconds left.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next up is Frank Sorick. Good to meet you, and there, please.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. I'm Frank Sorick, the Republican candidate for mayor, and a lot of what I'm going to do is very similar to what Councilman George said. I plan on focusing on neighborhoods as well as the downtown. Some have been very critical of Mayor Layton and what he has accomplished, but let's remember that Mayor Layton inherited a huge debt. He inherited a debt that was nearly $60 million and added to that debt about $25 million. And with that, a lot of progress in the downtown. I intend to continue to build off of that progress and spread it like wildfire through the neighborhoods. What we have to focus on is not just crime. As you've probably read my statements in the newspaper, we need to add more police officers and we need to do things the right way. I believe that we need to get the staffing levels at the police department up to around 90 police officers. On day one of my administration, just cutting my salary, my benefit package, and the city administrator's salary, I'll put 2 new officers on the street. That's without even trying, folks. So this can be done. The mayor's new budget doesn't even account for road paving. That was completely eliminated from the mayor's budget. So obviously we're not planning to pave roads or paint lines on the street because paving projects and road maintenance was slashed to 0 in the upcoming mayor's 2016 budget. And mainly because of the unfunded Johnson Controls project. That project, it wasn't rolled out properly and the funding wasn't laid out in even equal payments. Balloon payments are now coming due and the city can't afford them. So, you know, that's something we need to change, and we need to focus on blight. When we look around, and I'm not a lifelong resident of the city, as Councilman George is good at pointing out. I moved here in 2001 from a very small town of Falls, Pennsylvania. When I got to Wilkes-Barre, I noticed everything you touch is bad. Corruption runs so deep here. I don't care if you're looking at the receipts for toilet paper at City Hall. It's not what you think it should be. It's not Scott tissue from Kmart like you would think. So that's what I plan to change. The overall perception at City Hall. We need to end corruption in every department, the old pay-to-play attitude where those who donated to particular campaigns are the ones that get the contracts. No more. Lowest responsible bidder, and you stick to your bids. If you bid a project with the city of Wilkes-Barre, just like if I said to you I could put a roof on your house for $10,000, and as soon as I ripped the roof off, I said to you, shingles went up, I expect another $2,000 from you. What's the chances you're going to continue to employ me? I look the same way with city contractors. We need to hold them accountable. We haven't held anyone accountable in the city of Wilkes-Barre, especially our elected officials, and that needs to change. Any questions?
What's that, Ruth Whalen? What's that Johnson Controls? Is that
Johnson Controls is the energy saving program that the mayor talks about, changing the street lights, changing water valves at the city, make everything more green, energy efficient. And we've been told that there's a huge savings, enough to cover the $2 million balloon payments that are upcoming. And when we look at these savings, I don't believe they're sufficient enough to cover the payments, or we wouldn't be refinancing. And the additional $2 million is this year alone. We're jumping from 1.3 last year to 3.3 this year. So, you know, that's some of the things that we have to change, is the way we're doing things. Anything else?
Well, I just have a question.
Sure.
In terms of, like, I don't know who you are. Like, what do you do?
I'm a real estate agent with Brokers Realty. I have a bachelor's degree from Kaplan, my associate's in business from University of Phoenix, and like I said, I am a managing partner at Brokers Realty at 24 North Main Street here in Wilkes-Barre.
I see. Thank you.
So,
Thank
Mr. Sorick,
That
we
is
need
the
a
4
Frank.
minutes.
What's going to give you the ability to be able to negotiate union contractors, to deal with these financial issues? I mean, I admit it's way beyond my scope. Like, what's prepared you for that?
Life experience. I was a manager with the second largest banking institution in the United States. You might know of them, Bank of America. I've worked in the Human Resources Department. I've worked in several different departments of the bank. I know negotiations. I also know financial affairs. And so when we look at some of these things, I'm certain I can negotiate with the unions and say the automatic 3% raises that we're looking at are unsustainable to the city of Wilkes-Barre. We need to look at how we go about getting insurance. There are some cost savings that were presented to this administration and completely ignored. So several insurance folks have brought forth many, many plans, and the administration just turned them away without even hearing them.
We're out of time, but thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, I'm afraid we don't have time to have a debate on this, and, you know.
Wednesday, come to the first.
Yes.
Oh, we will.
All right. Next is the Office of Comptroller, and by the way, if there's someone here that isn't on my list, please let me know. We kind of tried to count everybody as they walked in. Darren Schneider and Linda Urban, and S comes before you, so Mr. Snyder.
Is this 3 or 4 minutes?
3, yes.
I just want to say hello to everybody. My name is Darren Schneider. I'm the candidate for Wilkes-Barre City Controller. I've lived in the downtown area for most of my life. I have a degree in economics from King's College, and I've been managing and operating my real estate company, Mayoral Snyder Real Estate, for the past 14 years. I've managed that company through the worst recession we've had through the last 100 years in our country's history. So I know the importance of analyzing every dollar that's spent, and I want to treat your tax dollars as if they're, you know, a business that needs to cut costs wherever they can. So part of my job as controller is the oversight of the mayor's office, oversight of the departments to make sure that what they're spending money on is correct and isn't being wastefully spent. I have a lot of different ideas for the city. It might come to a surprise, but as a realtor, I see the supply and demand. I think that we do have an oversupply of housing. This city was twice the size 100 years ago as it is today. It was still the same number of housing available. Much of that housing is functionally obsolete. So the growing trend throughout America is moving to the downtowns and walkable neighborhoods, close to shops and neighborhoods, having green space areas, where I think that we can improve on our green space areas and also create additional green space to lower that supply and demand of housing stock in the city, which will increase our property values. I think that every single decision in City Hall that's made should be, is this going to increase our property values? One of the things that I see as a real estate broker is that there are 3 main things that people shy away from the city. One is the crime, obviously. Another one, and which we're working on in the school districts, but taxes. And I would be a proponent of small incremental reduction in wage taxes. Nothing very steep, but very small reductions year after year, so that hardworking families would see Wilkes-Barre as a viable option as a place to live in. And then I also think that infrastructure is one of the most highly complained about subjects when you're going door to door talking to residents, and the potholes in the streets. But I also think that innovation in infrastructure is important when we're looking at our global economy and our cities. And I would love to see the discussion start of bringing rail service from Wilkes-Barre to Philadelphia in the same sense that rail service from Scranton to New York has been talked about for decades. So I would like to see in 25 years, 30 years from now, Wilkes-Barre as a viable option for my family, for my sons to live in, and be able to commute to Wilkes-Barre, to Philadelphia, and bring us into the new age. Thank you very much.
Okay. so no time for questions, I'm afraid.
Ask me.
Maybe you can give a 2-minute warning next. Linda Urban.
3 minutes. I'll give a 1 minute. 10 seconds.
I think that's what you meant, at 2 minutes.
Oh, thanks a lot.
That's
We'll have our own party. Hello, my name is Linda Urban. I am a lifelong resident of Wilkes-Barre City, and I have also lived in other cities in the United States. I had visited many, many different cities across the United States. Okay? When I look at my city right now, I find we have some serious financial issues with our families, deplorable housing conditions. I do not agree with my opponent that we should create more green space because that takes away from our tax base. What we need to do is invest in our neighborhoods. We need to get into every single neighborhood as Tony George Mayor-elect, or proposed candidate, stated, as well as Mr. Sorick. We cannot leave our neighborhoods flat. Most of the homes that I have been visiting, and I've been all over this city, talking one-on-one with moms, dads, grandparents, and what have you. Number one issue is crime in our neighborhoods and blight. We are on the precipice in our city to either increase our population, decrease our population, or go into a status quo and a sinking problem. And that problem could end up devaluing homes and discouraging families from moving in. Our businesses need to be addressed. Our neighborhoods, our parks. I have seen piles and piles of garbage on sides of people's homes. Household furniture, couches on a front porch, flammable items, recyclables tossed all over the streets, the curbs, everything. What I will do, and I want you to know I'm married and a mom and a grandparent. I take care of my home. I take care of my property. And my children have done so too. We need to ask our newcomers as well to manage our city. I will be auditing every single item that comes into the city controller's office. I will review. I will not rubber stamp. I will actively get out in the neighborhood with our new mayor and address our problems. And I have a very good rapport with these families in our neighborhoods. I'm asking for your support. I guarantee you I will not let you down. I am very concerned. Our city can no longer crash. We need to build it up, and that includes everything, downtown and the outlying areas. Thank you very much.
Well, 15 seconds if you want a question.
One question?
Oh, one question. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
One question. Well, then may I take the last 15 seconds to tell you that there is opportunity in our city, okay? As my opponent mentioned, the rail system. That sounds like a great idea, but when we institute a rail system from New York City to Philadelphia right into Wilkes-Barre, are we, and think seriously, are we prepared for number one, the population, number two, the criminality? Thank you very much.
Now, we are on Council B, is that right? Tony Brooks and Lewis,
Elmy?
I'm sorry,
Elmy?
Elmy, yeah, I'm sorry, couldn't read your handwriting.
I'll go from this side down here. Of course, all you know, I can give you a 4-minute dissertation on this wonderful Queen Anne house.
We only have 3 minutes.
And I think you'd probably rather hear that too. All right, a little bit about myself. My name is Tony Brooks. I was born in the old Wyoming Valley Hospital on Dana Street, and they promptly demolished it afterwards, which is certainly one of our problems that we do around here. I went to school at the University of Pennsylvania, majored in history. When I came back after being away from 21 years, I had a great job for 6 years at the Historical Society, so I know the city really inside and out. And right now I have a travel agency on this side. A couple things I want to talk about. One, about how I would be as a councilman. Totally accessible, available to you practically 24 hours a day. I'm fortunate enough to have a business on the side that I can devote 24 hours of the job and go out and talk to people and meet them when they call me and have a problem and visit with them at our house and be their advocate in city council. If you know about our structure or our government, Frank or Tony will have all this said. But you, Lou, Beth, myself, or Steve, or Joe over there won't, but we can be advocates. We can pass your budget. But what can we be advocates for? And the number one thing I want to be an advocate for is neighborhoods. What we have done here downtown, and I've lived across the street for the last 12 years, is we have successfully created a neighborhood association. We're very comfortable with the people around here. We might not know each other's names, but our dogs know each other very well. This can be replicated. There are 12 solid neighborhoods in Wilkes-Barre, and why are we the only one that has a monthly neighborhood association meeting? And we can create that. And City Hall can be an advocate for that, and I would want to see a Rolling Mill Hill Neighborhood Association, and a Diamond Triangle, and Miners Mills, and Parsons, and Goose Island, and all the rest of them, in the Heights. 2, neighborhood associations, neighborhoods can have business improvement districts. We have one successful for downtown. And there are cities across America that have implemented business districts on neighborhood business strips. We all remember penny candy stores, right? We all remember going down to a neighborhood movie theater. We remember going to a neighborhood pharmacy. Other cities have created these things again, where you walk to everything you need. So for example, in Rolling Mill Hill, there's all the trappings there on Hazel Street. It can happen. East Main Street, Miners Mills, Cary Avenue, and South Wilkes-Barre. We can create them, and we can look to all the other cities in America that are doing it. There are answers to our problems that have successfully been happening in other places in America, and we can exchange information and bring them here to Wilkes-Barre. Thank you.
You know, use 20 seconds if anyone has a question or comment. All right.
Then we'll move on to
Lou
Mr.
Elmy?
Elmy.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name's Lou Elmy. A little bit about me is I went to JR High School, graduated from King's College with a degree in criminal justice. I was a corrections officer for 10 years and a correctional counselor now for 19. So I can actually tell you a lot about what's going on in the city as far as crime. We have a large amount of transients and a large amount of landlords' absenteeisms that are creating a lot of problems in our city. All right, that's one thing. The second thing is I want accountability and responsibility of our administrators, of our mayor, and all the employees, that they'll be held accountable for their actions. You don't just brush it under the rug. You make them pay for making a mistake. That's another thing. So I'm focusing on crime, accountability and responsibility, and I also like to implement programs for these kids. I always believe that things start at the home. Parents need to take responsibility for their kids, because all the problems start from broken homes, and we need to take a more active approach as a city and create programs for these kids. And like I said, I'm on the school district right now, and I'd like to use some of their facilities to get these kids intramural basketball, get that back like Rolling Mill used to have. They don't have it. Heights Little League is no more. Mayflower Little League is no more. There's nothing for these kids to do except get in trouble. You don't give them anything to do, they're going to look for things to do. And the drugs is one of them. We have a high demand of drugs in this city. And when the mayor, whoever it is, whether it's Frank or Tony, as a councilman, I'm going to be sure to be in the streets. All right? I'd like to promote a program, and I'm sure everybody's seen it, where if they're dealing, they have high traffic volume in and out of their houses, that they get something on their door. Guess what? You're being watched. That's a courtesy call. And that's it. Second time, you just get busted. The more you hit them, the more they'll run. And trust me, they run out of money. I see it firsthand. So all I can say is, as part of the school board also, I voted 3 times in the last 3 years of not to raise taxes. I believe in lessening the burden on the taxpayer, do what we need to do in the fiscal budget without going to the taxpayer. So, any questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Council C, and that's Beth Gilbert and Steve Urban. Ms. Gilbert?
Hello, my name is Beth Gilbert. I am the Democratic nominee for City Council in District C. I am a graduate of GR High School, lifelong resident of the Heights, although my life isn't that long, I'm only 21. I'm currently a student at Wilkes University. I'm majoring in political science with minors in international studies, policy studies, and women's studies. The main two things that I'm focused on in the city, well, three things, is crime and blight. As council, we can push a legislative agenda to fight the crime and the blight in this city, and that's something that I don't see the current council doing. The second thing is just accessibility to residents, making sure that with whatever concerns the residents come to you, you make sure you answer them. You're not going to know every single answer that every single question that they come to you, but make sure that you get a response, you go to the proper department, and make sure you follow up with them. And thirdly, is just making sure that there is an equal balance between the downtown and the neighborhoods. You know, I hear a lot, oh, it has to be either the neighborhoods or the downtown. It can't be both. And that's wrong. It has to be both, because without the downtown, we wouldn't have a stable economic background for the city. You can't just have strong neighborhoods without a strong downtown. It can't be one or the other. And if we don't have strong neighborhoods, then we don't have a strong downtown, because we don't have people coming downtown to shop or to go to the restaurants or the bars or anything like that. So you really do need both. I don't want to take too much of your time up. I'd rather spend time answering questions. So if anybody has any questions.
I do.
Your name?
Chair Campbell, I would just like to ask, with your work and your career and all, can you see a career in Wilkes-Barre as a young person?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I am running for council, because I do plan to establish my residence here, and I plan to live here for the rest of my life, and I want to make sure that it's a city that I feel comfortable raising my children. And right now it's not. I don't feel comfortable raising a family here. But I know that if we get the right people elected, that will change.
1 minute.
Sorry. I'm not used to being cut off.
So you don't see greater opportunity for yourself moving somewhere else? So.
No, I don't. I'm very comfortable with my neighborhood, and I love Wilkes-Barre, I really do. And I think that we just need the right people elected to make sure that it's a great city to live in. Any other questions?
So are you like a senior? What year are you in?
I'm a senior. I'll graduate in May. Yes. So. Anything else?
Good evening. Thank you to Downtown Residents Association. I'm Stephen J. Urban, candidate for District C as a Republican candidate up in the Heights. I've been a longtime resident of the Heights for many, many years. I've been active in politics as my opponent. I'm currently an IT support coordinator for U.S. Foods during the day. I'm a county council member elected, and I also DJ downtown on the weekends. On top of that, I am a landlord in the city, and I come with a whole breadth of experience from the political side, the financial side, the corporate side of life. I'm not going to paint the rosy picture of this city, because it has gone downhill over the many, many years. Corruption has infiltrated into City Hall. Obviously, we've had county corruption. All of that has to be recognized, and not one person can manage all of that. You need leaders that are going to be effective, that can actually speak to other leaders. I think it's about time every single leader elected gets together and talks, because currently at the county level, we don't talk to the municipalities. We really don't as county council. I think the state reps, the state senators, they all have to talk and get together too. We all have to sit down as elected leaders and actually facilitate conversation on how to resolve issues. We all know that money's tight. The county's over $400 million in debt. The city's over $85 million in debt. The real estate broker, I did a report to an MLS through another agency that I know. Within last year, there's probably over 400 properties that sold for under what they were assessed at, which is terrible. I mean, if people appealed those assessments, you're going to lose tax dollars. And it happens. You know, we have many court cases on the county level when we're refunding tens of thousands to millions of dollars a year because of assessments being lower. Unfortunately, there's no easy answer. You know, the taxation in Wilkes-Barre is high. Home rule has caused that. And a lot of people think home rule is great. It's not always great, because it does allow for taxation to be higher on your wages. You know, at the county level, they're looking for an 8% increase this year, for next year. And in Wilkes-Barre City, 3% wage taxes, that's a lot. That does not attract families. That does not attract people that want to really live here. I really don't get much from my tenants. I have to pay fire sewer bills. I think, you know, it's a time that we need to reduce the nuisance taxes like per capita, some of the nuisance fees like sewer rental, because we already paid Wyoming Valley Sanitary Authority. A lot of these taxes all add up. The bar business has collapsed too. That really has collapsed. They can't even give away drinks down there for $7 on the weekends on a Friday or Saturday night. So, you know, when you really want to talk business, it's not just about downtown, it's about coming up with a grand solution that we really need to come up with as elected leaders and talk it all out and really hash it out and get together and manage the resources wisely, because money's very limited at this point in time.
We have an unexpected speaker from running for Council A, Joe Bernardo. I don't think too many of our residents are voting in Council A because of where we live, but we do have friends, and so why don't you tell us?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me here. Although I'm not in your district. Okay. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about myself. I graduated from Hanover High School in 1959. I'm an oldie. Okay. Next thing I'd like to tell you is that I was a sheet metal worker for the Ironworks. Then I became a prudential agent for life insurance. From there, I went into the cabinetry business, you know, and started doing, when we had the flood, I couldn't find anybody to do the floors because everybody was out remodeling throughout the whole city. So I went to Armstrong School to learn how to put the floors in. So I ended up putting the floors. Then I couldn't get supplies. So I tried to figure out a way how to get supplies, and when I did that, I became a distributor for the supply business. So I got into the floor covering business by getting supplies and handling supplies for the carpet dealers and the installers. And I grew that. I borrowed $3,000 from my life insurance and I built it into a $2.5 million company. I was in it until, from 1979 until 2000, when I got out of it because our margins were shrinking. The Lowe's and the Home Depots were killing my dealer base. They were losing business to the Lowe's and Depots, so we shrunk. So I went from like 11 employees down to 5 because we kept losing more and more volume. So then I got out of it in 2000. I did various other things like notary closing and things like that with my brother. He was an abstractor. So I just did that just to keep busy. I like to keep busy. In 2008, I came back into the business. I'm semi-retired, but I'm back into the business again. And I have built it since 2008 from nothing to over $100,000 now. And I'm only dealing with customers that I just know I can handle myself. That's it. That's what I'm telling you about that. Now, I'm frustrated with what's happening in our city. I've lived in this city since 1959. I'm totally frustrated. Okay, so I decided to get in to run for district council after George Brown left. The other thing, what I want to tell you is that I've been talking to the people. I've been going door to door, and my proposal is that I would like to see the city council and the mayor cut their salary by 1/3, like that we can hire more policemen and firemen. The next thing I'd like to do is get our 3% wage tax down to 2%. The surrounding area is 1.5%. Why would anybody, young couple, want to move into this city with higher crime and higher taxes and try to raise a family? They're not going to do it. We have the homes for them to buy, but they're not going to move into the city with the taxes. The third thing I like to propose, by the way, I'm proposing, I'm not saying, the third thing I like to propose is that we get the 75 and up, not because I'm 74 and I'm going to be 75, okay? But because 75 and up, the people that are on fixed incomes, they're having a hard time paying the taxes, all right, on their homes. Some people are losing their home because of that. For the property tax in the city, I'd like to see that cut in half. The next thing that I'm going to do, and I know I could do this, is, can I do it?
Finish your sentence.
Well, I know this could be done, and I've talked to people. There's 5 wards. I'm going to have a meeting with each ward every month, just before the city council, so like that we could all get together, talk about the problems in our neighborhood, and have a spokesman who could talk about, go to the city council meeting and talk about our problems. This could be done. I know it could be done, and we could save this city a little bit at a time. Not overnight, but it will be done. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really impressive, everybody. If whenever you get elected to office, if you can remain this focused and concise, and have things done. I invite you to please stick around for the rest of our meeting. You get an idea of what a really good community organization is like, as Tony pointed out. We're the only one here. We just have about 5 or 10 minutes of business, and then we're really pleased that Larry Newman is here to join us. He's with the Diamond City Partnership. You've probably all seen that great write-up about him in the Times Leader. Larry is, the organization he's with is our parent organization, so he always comes here to give us a welcome update on what's happening in the downtown area in particular. He's also a resident, yes, also a member of our organization. The purpose, as we said, this is an organizational meeting, and most of you have had this emailed, and you can look at it again. Our mission statement is to create an excellent quality of life for all downtown Wilkes-Barre residents by helping to promote a safe and attractive downtown, which would also be instrumental in developing the cultural, educational, and business atmosphere of the city. And of course, it's a great social event too, because it also helps us to know our neighbors better. One of the ways we are carrying out our mission is to have a lot of activity, participation, and we have fixed committees. And Patricia Parks, who is the current president of our organization, is out of town. She asked me to read over the list of committees, remind people to join them, and also to say that we're not going to do much today with the committees. We had recommended that these committees have pick a leader and then have meetings when needed, and those of us on the cultural committee found it's easier really just to do those meetings by email and phone, since it's a small handful of people. Every committee is expected to give a committee report at the meeting, at the monthly meeting, which might just say we didn't accomplish much. We have 2 committee reports this evening too. So we have a publicity and community relations. Again, we're asking you to reinstate your membership and also consider joining. The purpose is to publicize the DRA and its activities and to promote the high quality of life in downtown Wilkes-Barre. The activities of this committee might include encouraging membership and participation of the DRA and sponsorship of local events and welcoming new residents. This committee would help by writing press releases, publicity, and support of local businesses. At this time, we have Michael Ward as the only member of this committee.
It's a one-man show.
We haven't really had much of a need to do this, but Patricia and I were talking.